Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the channel and another edition of the Spurs Chat Podcast. God, this club, honestly, what it does to us. We'll be discussing Tottenham's draw with Monaco. Some would say, I would imagine most would say, it's a lucky 0-0 draw. Ricky Norwood will be with us shortly, but I've got with me tonight Si the Foxhall and Gary Ward. First come to Si. How are you, sir?
Personally, fantastic. With watching Spurs, it drags me down. They're like a fart in a spacesuit at the moment. They kill the atmosphere with what they're doing. But other than that, mate, I'm good. Thank you. I'm glad to be on. Thank you.
Good. And Gary Ward is back with us. Gary, how are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Apart from the game I've just watched, unfortunately. Yeah, everything else seems to be fine. Until I turn, you think about it all day long and you get excited for it, and then it's a performance like that. So yeah, apart from that, all good. Thank you.
Yeah, I know the feeling of there's two games now. I've been thoroughly bored watching. I'll be brutally honest with you. Look, everyone, we're live on YouTube, X, and Facebook as always. So do get involved and let us know how you're feeling right now as a Tottenham Hotspur fan. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Quite unbelievable. Right. Ricky's not with us yet. I'm just going to put on screen the match facts and stats if you really want to see them, to be honest with you, because it doesn't make brilliant viewing, actually. Monaco there, as you can see, 56% possession to Spurs 43, an XG for Monaco. Listen to this, 2.45, an XG for Spurs 0.87, 23 shots for Monaco, 11 for Tottenham, 8 on target for Monaco and 2 for Spurs. Dare I say it, Vicario, what a performance tonight. He's the only player on that pitch, in my opinion, that comes out with any modicum of well, you know what I mean. Total touches inside the opposition box, 43 for Monaco, 20 for Spurs. Goalkeeper saves 2 from the Monaco goalkeeper, 8 from Vicario. Fouls committed 13 to 12, and corners 5 to Monaco and 4 to Tottenham. Where do we start to pick the bones out of that? Si, give us your thoughts on that game.
Well, look, Vic was outstanding, wasn't he? And he was the only reason we got a point from the game tonight, which for me, Vic and the point were the only positives to come out of it. I think we look very uninspired and uninspiring for our supporters, and the quality of the football at the moment is just completely abject. I mean, we can't string 3 passes together, and the ball looked like a ball flying around in a pinball machine every time we had it. And, you know, I don't know where the quality is coming from at the moment. You know, I've got to tell it how it is. And it's only the early days of Thomas Frank. But, you know, I looked at it again tonight with the lineup, and there we are again with a player that doesn't play left back naturally playing left back. You know, where do we go with this? That comes down to not signing, for me, I'm a stuck record on this, not getting the right players in the summer, not having the right squad, not having the right balance, and then you get a few injuries and it just skews everything. So, look, the only things I can take from it tonight is Vicario. That was a world-class performance from him tonight. Shot stopper extraordinaire. And we got a point. We got 7 points in the league. We're still unbeaten in it. But other than that, I just can't take anything else from it, mate, really.
Poor then. So I think is the word.
Very.
It's
very
dreadful. It's amazing. Ricky's joined us. Ricky, I'll come to you in a minute. I hope you're well. Gary, give us your thoughts on today's match.
echo a lot of what Sarah was saying. And there are elements. I think positivity was there. I think Archie Gray played very well in most of the game. I think he slotted in quite well at left back. Didn't pull up any weeds, but look, didn't make too many mistakes. Can't really think of anything off the top of my head. For he played relatively quite well, and again slotted into centre midfield. He's one of them players that is so versatile that whenever he does play, he seems to put in, a solid enough performance. And I think that might be detrimental to him long term, because he's going to be just a gap filler rather than slotting in a particular position. I played with a couple of people like that myself, and they always just seem to play where there was gaps. And I think that for a young man such as himself, he's doing very well. So I think that was good. Off of Vicario, he's had so much pelters over the last few months, and look, he's got his negative points, but I thought he was excellent today, and that point is really down to him. Had he not been there, we would have got turned over royally. But we've got to look at it this way: they're a team that creates a lot, they score a lot of goals, and we've prevented that tonight, so that's positive. And we're still unbeaten in the Champions League, so some positive aspects there. I think getting Kola Mawani on as well, I think was big. I think we need to get him in as much as possible.
Man. Fucking cat,
man. I'm not sure what that was. It's put me off now.
They've thrown you.
Yes.
We've got EastEnders cat wars going on.
Yeah.
Mental, bruv. Mental. I don't know what just happened, man. The cat just done one of the zoomies and it knocked the cup everywhere. And the thing went everywhere. Man, what's going on? And I'm late. Sorry.
It's more.
He's all gone.
That sounds more. That sounds more entertaining than the game, Rick.
Mate, it was. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Firstly, apologies for being a little bit late. Been running around like a madman today. So it took me a while to get set up and even catch the game today. So apologies first and foremost. The game today. Whoa. What can we say? I'll start with a positive. We got a point.
Was there one?
That's about it for me.
Today,
today, I mean, for me, it was a bit of a shocking performance. And Thomas Frank's supposed to be the man with a plan, right? And I didn't see no adaptation, no variation, no switch up in plan. Even when the subs came on, it wasn't. I mean, there was some better movement, and we had opportunities towards the end of the game, but like it was a bit mental, man. It was a bit mental today. I don't know, man. We couldn't get close to them. We couldn't get any part of our game going. Vicario absolutely fantastic tonight, showing why he's number one. Showing why he was number one today. Loads of saves, kept us in it. Could have been, should have been maybe 10-0, 11-0, because Monaco totally dominated us. And it was almost like, I don't know, it was almost like a League One side playing Barcelona. We couldn't get near them. And for all of the plans that we're supposed to have and all of the different players that we got, yes, it's still in its infancy, but this is the Champions League. This is the Champions League, mate. I didn't get to see the Bodo game, but my friend and brother, Darren Hart, gave me a rundown, and I saw the highlights, and it looked like, again, we was the worst side, and we should have lost against that game. We was lucky to come out with a win, it looks like, from the highlights. And today you go in, especially after the performance against Aston Villa in the Champions League, away at Monaco. Yes, it's away. Yes, they score lots of goals. Yes. But where was our gumption? Where was our strength? Where was our energy? Where was our will to win? Where was our will to kind of show the people what we're about? Yes, I say again, it is still in its infancy, under Frank, but you need to see more in a competition like this. What are we here to do? And look, we had a bumpy ride last year and we ended up winning it. But, you know, when you look at that performance, there was no performance. Van der Ven done well. Danzo, I felt, done well. Archie Gray done well. Porro gave the ball away left, right, and centre. Some of his passes today, you know, were really bad. Maybe he's tired. I'm not sure. But it's what Mark just said there. We were poor today and we got away with it. And that's what it feels like. You know, that's what it feels like today. You know, Paulinho does what Paulinho does, but it didn't feel like Bentancur could get a hold of it today. Sarr, I don't understand why Sarr didn't start today. You know, he was player of the season so far. He was the one that was undroppable for me from when he started the season, and you've dropped him out. I don't know why we didn't play Xavi today from the start. I don't know why we didn't play Kolo Muani from the start. Let him have 60 minutes because Richarlison, after those first 3 games, including PSG, he's just dropped off again. So it was a really disappointing performance for me from most of the angles that I can look at it from. Very few positives, very few. I don't know what to say, boys. I don't know what to say. I'm hoping you guys can help me. And now that the cat's back in, maybe he can calm down.
The cat, my cats were both asleep watching it tonight. They're usually very entertained, I have to say. I would say Chris has just posted it, and these are his comments. It was a pretty obvious we came here for a point, and we got it. The luckiest point we will ever get in the Champions League. So poor going forward, lacking quality and conviction. Vicario saved us from an embarrassing scoreline, as well as their front line missing clear chances. The fans in the stadium were frustrated, and rightly so. The football tonight was not entertaining and nowhere near good enough. Now on to Everton away, where the fans want and need to see a good performance and 3 points. Absolutely spot on. Sire, let's just deal with the starting 11 first. And this isn't exactly how we lined up. Obviously, we had this was how the I think the BBC probably thought we were going to be lining up. Obviously, we know we had Vicario, Porro, Danzo, Van der Ven, and Gray. João Paulinho, Bentancur, again, that double pivot with Bergvall in front, Odegaard, Richarlison, and Kudus on the bench. Austin, Byfield, Johnson, Kinski, Kolo Muani, Ulisisi, Sarr, Scarlett, Simons, Spencer, and Williams. Barnett, what did you make of that starting 11 when it came out, Sire?
Well, what else could he have done? I mean, the only changes you could have really made was playing Spence at left back. But I think, as Ricky and Gary have said, I thought Archie Gray was decent tonight. But when I look at that team, and I have with a number of the teams we put out this season, I just don't see the creativity there. And most teams know that now. If you can keep Mo Kudus quiet, then you're in for a relatively scare-free game, because I think I'm probably being a bit harsh on Odegaard in the first half when he was, he created a few chances and looked dangerous. But in the second half, we just died. So when I saw the team, I'm not one who likes the Bentancur, Paulinho axis for the team. I think we're too slow in possession when we play with those two there. I think we're too defensive minded. I understand that you don't want to give a goal away early, etc. But one thing for me that I'm struggling with at the moment is I don't understand why Pap Sarr isn't starting games when he has played. He's been more than decent. And the one thing that we didn't get with Paulinho and Bentancur to start off with was kind of any dynamism. And I thought Lucas Bergvall lacked zing and, pizzazz tonight. Gave the ball away a couple of times, caused us problems. But I'm not understanding really the lineups that we're picking, albeit that I've droned on about how we needed another fullback before the season started. Then you've got the flexibility when one's injured, you can still perm 2 from 3. So yeah, I do. I just, when I look at that lineup, I kind of know what we're in for, because there's no creativity there, and as long as we keep picking lineups like that, or playing in that formation the way we play it, which is defensive first, it's going to be what it is. It's dull, unprogressive, uninspiring football, really, for me, mate. And lineup. I just think you set yourself up to not to lose, is what he kind of went for, and I suppose he's right in the end, because we didn't lose. But what everybody said, that was more luck than judgment, because Vic was the difference between a win and a hide-in, to be quite honest. So yeah, that's where I sit on that.
Yeah, I have to agree. Frank obviously set us up for a very defensive, for probably playing for a draw, which I don't particularly like, although I do see that sometimes in Europe you have to do these things. But I think that was spot on. I think it was more luck than judgment. If Vic hadn't been on fire tonight, it could have been 10. Let's face it could have been 10 if all the shots had gone in. And we got very lucky tonight to get a point. What was your overall thoughts on that starting lineup, Gary? Were you? I thought it was a bit odd, actually, not to see Spence come in and Gray at left back. There must have been a reason for it, though.
Yeah, I struggled to understand what the formations. I sat and wrote a couple out in my head. I got a 3-4-3 out of it. I got a 3-5-2 out of it. I got a 4-3-3. I got various different formations, but what made me think it was potentially a 3-5-2 was the PSG game. I thought, is he going similar? And obviously he didn't. My concern was left back, because I thought, look, Archie Gray's played most of his time since under Thomas Frank in the middle, and it clearly sees him as a midfielder. So why would he then put him at left back? Is there something wrong with Spence? And is he just trying to use as much of the squad as he can now over these next couple of months till we get into January, and we're going to have a number of players hopefully back? Is he just trying to use that squad and essentially, quote unquote, coast through the games? I don't think he wants to, but I think that's how it's being set up, is that we're going to go here. If we can get a point, that's a good point to take away. And look, it is in a way, but it was uninspiring. There was just no creativity. There's just no final ball. And no any creativeness in that final third. The amount of times we get to the edge of the box and then we cut back and go back to the double pivot, and then we go back home again. I mean, even Xavi Simons at one point when he came on, it's like we were on a breakaway, and he sort of stuttered to go back on himself. And it's like, I don't know what's going on with football, especially in the Premier League, that this is this consistent being shit scared to make a pass. I mean, just for the life of me. But looking back at the formation, I just felt it was something perhaps we were going to see like at PSG. It was going to be a 3-5-2. Obviously, it wasn't. And look, Archie Gray, I thought, played well today, so that's a positive aspect from it. Again, that front three, Odegaard, I thought was okay. I thought it was probably one of his better games, to be fair to him. But Richarlison, I could just spend the next 3 hours talking about how he just is not a striker. I'm sorry, he can't trap the ball, he can't hold it up, he hasn't got the strength to hold it up when we're getting battered so much defensively, and the ball is like I said, it's ping pong, it's pinball. That midfield, a constant back and forth. You've got to relieve some pressure, and it's all on him. And look, when Kolo came on and that little touch around the corner, he held it up a couple of times, couple of flick-ons, all within the first sort of 5-10 minutes. We're crying out for Solanke to get back, and I mean, and that's saying something. He's not a huge, in any way, a replacement for Harry Kane, but we are crying out for someone that can relieve some pressure for us up front, because it's just not working.
Rick, what did you make of that tonight? The lineup, should I say?
The lineup for me was shocking, mate. It was shocking, if I'm honest. It didn't look like a team that was going to go out there to win. Look, I know that Udogie has picked up another injury. I know that Romero's out for a little bit. And so that Danzo was going to come in there. And then Spence, who is also, not only somebody who can spark creativity, who can spark a movement going forward, but from the start of this season up until now, he's been putting people in the Jed Spence penitentiary. So when you've got tricky, fast, aggressive, strong players, wingers that you're up against, I don't understand why you wouldn't have started Spence. The same with Sarr in midfield. I felt that energy, and he was box to box. He was defending. He was everywhere in the games that he was starting and got a run of games. He just grew in, game out. I know he picked up a little niggle when he was on international duty, and so I thought that's why he was out. Maybe there's still some residue from that. I'm not sure. But I just don't understand how he didn't start today to kind of give you somebody who's the holder, pure number 6 in Paulinho, let him carry on doing his job. You put him alongside him and you've got a box-to-box midfielder who's full of energy, who hardly ever looks like he's tired, and who has been growing in, game out. Don't understand why you didn't do that. Don't understand why you didn't start Xavi. And yes, he's had an up and down couple of games, but Glenn Hoddle said on commentary tonight that he went to Monaco, and for the first 2 months, he couldn't do anything. He couldn't find his feet. He changed leagues, he changed countries, and it took him a while to settle in and to start making an impact for Monaco. And that's one of the most creative players Tottenham have ever produced. My dad won't have a word said against him, and I've met him, had a cuddle with him, and taken a picture. But that's a different story. So if it's going to take someone like him 2 months, and yes, it was a different time as well, but he was a man of his time, then of course it's going to happen with Xavi. But in a European game in France, where he's been before, where he would want, it's going to be half of the reason that he signed for us was to play Champions League games as well. You chuck him in there, as the creative one. You've got to chuck him in there somewhere. When I saw Odegaard again, I thought, you know what? To tell you the truth, for him to have a couple of runner games is a good thing, and he's the one that's in the Champions League squad, not Matisse Tell. So he's going to have to start showing his worth. And I think there's more and more flashes of what he brings to the table. Snatching at shots, panicking at shots sometimes, but that was the whole team tonight. Scared at certain movements, that was the whole team tonight. And, what Gary said there as well earlier about Xavi, even when Xavi came on, it seemed like he tried one pass, it was too short, and then the second pass, it was checked and then pushed through to the other side. But it was almost like because the first pass didn't reach where it went, he was almost scared again to pass it again. Yeah. And the same thing happened with the shot. He had a shot that went over the bar. He took a step in and he took a shot and it ballooned over. And there was another great opportunity where he was inside. He made the space, take the shot then. But I think that same thing happened in his head, which was like, I better not take it again because it might be a wasted chance. And then we ended up passing it around. So yeah, with the lineup, I was actually shocked at the lineup that went out there. Archie Gray, however well he done tonight, I didn't think the Champions League was a night to experiment for that particular position. If he needed to come on in that position, bring him on second half. But that wasn't to be. So my worries started with the lineup tonight and the way that we was going to set up, and that continued from when I started watching the game, mate.
Yeah, I mean it's not all doom and gloom. I know it feels like it, but as you can see from the table, we're 15th. But actually, although this doesn't go as high up, I think we're only a point off 8th. I think I think 8th position is 6 points. So it could be 2 points off. So it's not a disaster, and we haven't lost. But it does. It's weird, isn't it? It kind of feels like a defeat because let's face it, we got battered on occasions tonight. And if they could finish it could have been a cricket score, couldn't it? And that's what is a bit galling, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it was just the whole point of it is, and we've seen it in a number of recent matches, they're just flat performances and you cannot keep getting by from the skin of your teeth. It wasn't a particularly inspiring performance by all accounts on Sunday. I didn't watch it. I was at a christening, but it's flat. And the biggest problem we've got at the moment is that lack of creativity. The only time we look dangerous, particularly in my opinion, is from long throws, set pieces, stuff like that. And you might get lucky with that 1 in every 3 games where you get a goal from it. But you've got to create more. You've got to put more pressure on the other team. And I think that thing for me, one thing I don't like personally about the Thomas Frank system is that when we're defending, we have like all 11 players behind the ball. And if you do that, where's your out ball? You're inviting the other team onto you. And then the player that we've got up there, when there is somebody up there, the ball just pings back off of him as far as it's gone up, and you're continually under pressure and inviting pressure on. So, I think it's flat. How I started off, it's uninspiring. We've got players that, in my opinion, are underperforming, but it still comes back. Gary's nailed it. Ricky nailed it. We're playing a centre forward tonight. There isn't a centre forward. We've got a left back that isn't a left back. You're kind of asking for trouble, aren't you? Really? Let's not beat around the bush. And most teams now have fathomed out, double up on Mo Kudus, and you've got Tottenham in your pocket. That's not where we should be as a club or a team. And also the other thing for me is I just think our players are better than they're performing. So is it a lack of confidence? Is it, PTSD from last season where we lost so many games? I couldn't even begin to put my finger on what the problem is with the players in their head. But for me, they're certainly showing no confidence in the way that they're playing and their own abilities at all. And then that reflects in the performance overall.
Gary, Simon's made some really good points there. What is it? Is there some one thing you can put your finger on why we just don't look like we're going to create anything? Is it the fact that didn't help tonight? We haven't got a Maddison or a Kulusevski. And as I said, teams are now doubling up on Kudus, who's been our one sort of outlet for creativity. Is it as simple as that, or is it more deep laying in the way Frank sets us up with that double pivot again of Bentancur and Paolini? Because you could argue, I've seen some people say on Twitter, as soon as them two are split up, the midfield is in a bit of disarray.
Yeah, I think it is. I think especially away from home, we probably need that. We need that double pivot, but we can't have 3 of the same players, and we had 3 of the same type of player. Bergvall, I actually think he's a fantastic footballer, but he's very similar to the other two. He's not a creative force. He's not going to go and create you 10, 15 chances or, 5 chances. He's not going to go and create them, but he'll make those runs. But we need that creative aspect in there to relieve some pressure from the front, to help the front line, but also relieve the pressure from the back. I think, answering your question, we've got to remember as well, we're coming off a league where we just lost 22 league games. It's going to take some time for a brand new manager, brand new coaching staff to come in, not only change the mentality, bring his own philosophy or whatever you want to call it now. It's going to take time. I know it's been 11, 12 games. We haven't lost in the Champions League yet, and I know we're not particularly playing very well. I think we've also got to take into consideration that a number of our key attacking players are injured, and the other ones that we've brought in have either come in and instantly got injured, or as Ricky was saying, Xavi Simons to me just doesn't look confident. and you have to play through confidence. It's not, in my opinion, you have to play through confidence. You just have to take a risk, and you have to go, I'm going to take this risk. I know what I'm doing. And perhaps he's thinking about it, because people will get on his back. It's a new league. It's a new setup for him. Is he overthinking stuff? Probably, because if you looked at him at PSV last season, the opportunity I talked about earlier on the halfway line, he would have drove through that. There would be no stopping him, and he's not confident at the moment. And I think partly it's because he's been pushed out into a position he doesn't really want to play in. He's been pushed out on the left. He doesn't want to play there. He wants to play in the middle. And on Saturday, I was in the stadium. The amount of times I'm thinking, he is free, and we're on the wings, and we're cutting back and going back to our double pivot, and he's standing there with his hands up. Well, you can see on the camera, hands up, like, I'm standing here absolutely free. And we're not getting that ball.
Gary, I think
that breeds confidence.
I think you made a really good point there, going back to what you said about our attacking players aren't out. I mean, if you think Son, Maddison, Kulusevski and Solanke scored 51 goals between them last season, and obviously we know none of them are playing, and one's gone to America now. And we will come into the match incidents. Not that there was tons for Tottenham. The first incident I've written down here is on 10 minutes. Vicario saves from Balogun. As we know, Vicario had an absolutely sensational game. Based on the quality of the shots he faced, Vicario prevented 2.68 goals against AS Monaco. I'd say it was actually more than that. He's just one of 4 goalkeepers to make 8+ saves and keep a clean sheet in a UEFA Champions League game for an English side in the last 10 seasons, after Alisson Becker, Nick Pope and David De Gea. Rick, come on to you on Vicario. He's funny, isn't he? Because people were criticising him, and I think we were all criticising him Sunday, and yet he's pulled an absolute worldie out of the bag today, hasn't he? And you're on mute, Rick.
Nice one. Bro, I think he needed that as well, and I think we needed that as a fan base. You know, there's been the last couple of performances have been so-so, and some of the goals that we've been conceded have been the same way we've conceded them, which has been like a Vicario parry into the opposition player, and suddenly, you know, it's an easy tap in. So at least he's seen it. At least the coaching staff have worked on it. At least he's conscious of it, because wow, tonight he didn't do that, and he saved everything that came at him. And he's a great shot stopper. He always has been a great shot stopper, and that's what you need as a goalkeeper. But I think the performance from himself when we needed him, we really needed him tonight. He pulled it out of the bag, like you say, and I think that gives him a lot of confidence. And I think that the fan base as well, you can have a lot more confidence in Vicario going forward, even if it's just in the small detail that he's seen something and he's gone and worked on it. I love that about any type of player. Any type of player, you know, if you say it's the sign of madness, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You know, it's a sign of madness. But if you can see something and you can address it, reflect on it, go back, take responsibility for some of the things that you haven't done, and go, oh, okay, this is what I need to do, and then show up and do it when it's needed, I think is a great sign from any player, let alone a goalkeeper. So fingers crossed for him that this is the boost that he's needed to start showing up and start showing everybody what and who he's about and why he got into that Italy squad. Yes, Donnarumma is number one, but you know, he got in there and he's being seen by his country as well. So, you know, this is what Vicario needs. This is what we needed. As we've said many a time about many a thing, let's hope he builds on it and keeps going from strength to strength.
Yeah, brilliant performance by Vicario. Well, on 13 minutes, Fatty gets through and can't find the final pass.
What did you call me?
Fat boy, I think it was. He had a good game, Fatty, tonight, actually, and so did that. I can't remember his
Akliou.
name. Forgive me.
Akliou.
Akliou, thank you.
Yeah.
We was actually linked with him last couple of transfer windows, and we didn't go for him.
We still
sort of
are.
run the game,
We were
didn't we?
linked
We
yesterday, actually.
Constantly. Yeah. He's a phenomenal player, actually.
Yeah,
20 minutes, Van der Ven heads over from an Odegaard cross. I thought Odegaard was actually half decent tonight. I thought he was okay, Odegaard, in my opinion. 26 minutes, Vicario saves again from Fati. 28 minutes, Vicario saves from Balogun. 29 minutes, Richarlison has a shot blocked. That was the one where he was played through and then just took too long. So I just come round to you on Richarlison. Did he do?
Oof. Good luck, Si.
I know this is a good person to come to.
I'm pleased you got that one.
Talk to me about Richarlison's performance tonight, Si.
For me, not good enough. And his close control was non-existent. And like I said, he can't hold the ball up at all, which doesn't allow us to relieve pressure. When you've had the likes of Harry Kane and even Dom Solanke last year, at least we could hold the ball a little bit. And if you look, our best outlet for keeping the ball out of defence when you're, just sometimes trying to clear your lines is give it to Kudus. And if you look at Kudus, he's hardly, he's not as tall as Richarlison, he's not as big as Richarlison, but his close control and his ball retention is fantastic. And for me, Richarlison never has, or in my opinion, never will, scored enough goals or had enough in his game other than the shithousery to make me want to keep him. And I've been one of the vocalists saying that I wouldn't have had him at the club for a very long time if I'd have ever had him in the first place. But, the performances he's put in since his 2-goal burst against Burnley, I just don't think are good enough. And if you can't retain the ball, or your centre forward can't retain the ball, you're just putting so much pressure on your midfield and your defence because the ball keeps coming back. So yeah, I'm quite adamant on Richarlison. Never been good enough, not good enough now, never will be good enough. And if I could have one of my fairy godmother wishes met, he wouldn't be a Spurs player come the 1st of January, let alone the 31st of January. But that's just how I feel about him.
Si, what is he good at? What is he good at? Because come on.
Shithousery.
Yeah, but we can't be paying how much? What did we pay for him?
60 million, but we did.
60 million?
But we did.
Mil. Come on, man.
He's not. I'll put the same back to you, Rick. Tell me what he's good at, because he's not. He's not a natural goal scorer. He doesn't hold the ball up. His close control and first touch is quite dreadful. I suppose if you had flying wingers who were putting in crosses every other attack, he'll probably score more headed goals than he would with the ball on the deck. But other than that, I just can't have him as a centre forward. He's not, to me, he's just a utility forward, is he? One thing I would say for him, and I'll big him up for this, he did a brilliant job on the left in the European final, but that was mainly stopping the opposition, not doing anything creative himself. So
just imagine, 10 years ago, thinking about we're going to have Brazil's number 9 up front, we'll think, wow, we're Champions League, we're Premier League champions, and we've got probably the worst number 9 Brazil's ever seen.
I think as well, what he'd done it for me, there was a certain moment, I think it was from a Danzo long throw, where it unbelievably bounced in the area, and Richarlison just didn't have that, what you'd expect a number 9 to have, that instinct to know and to take a risk. He doesn't. He's never going to get you more. I think his record is 13 goals in the Premier League season. And I don't want to bash him too much, but it's not good enough. It's not good enough.
That was my point, Craig. It isn't good enough, and he's not a centre forward. That is plain to see. And he is not gonna. if you're not, take Solanke last season. If he didn't score that many goals, but he had, he got some assists as well. But the one thing he allowed us to do, relatively successfully, was hold the ball up, so you're not always having it come back at you. We just don't have that at the moment. And I think Ricky said earlier about Kolo Muani starting. Look, he's obviously isn't up to match fitness, and I think Frank's feeding him in, but week by week by week he needs to play more minutes, and I think sending him on in the 70th minute today was a wasted opportunity. He played 20 minutes at the weekend. You should have given him 30, 40 minutes this game. If you're going to build him up to full match fitness, you've surely got to give him more minutes to give him that fitness. And then, apparently Solanke isn't too far away from coming back, according to Glenn Hoddle. Well, if you've got a fit Muani and a fit Solanke, for me, Richarlison doesn't even make the bench. That's where it sits with me, not on the bench. No, thank you very much.
But this is the whole point, right? Right now, Richie has got no excuses for me sitting there right now. Yes, injury prone. So he's always coming back for an injury, or he's always getting the next niggle. Do you know what I mean? We've had that for a little while. We've had the time that he's had his kind of mental health, episodes, and with mental health, it never really leaves you. You it's a constant battle, but we went through that with him as well. And as a fan base, we supported him. We understood. We didn't really get on his back. So right now, we've just won a trophy. You've played your part in the final. You've come back after a good pre-season. He didn't start a couple of the games, but, he got a pre-season in there. He got his fitness up to scratch. He's come in, played against PSG. And the one thing that we done with PSG was we had a desire, we had a unity, and we used aggression. We used aggression against them. And PSG were frustrated as hell. They couldn't play the way they played. And Richarlison was part of that. He didn't score, but he was part of it. The way that he ran, it was almost like it was on the toes rather than flat foot.
He's a progressive. He's like pressing forward, and he had someone with him on that game. And I think that he can't play solo. He needs someone with him, and he can play off that player. That's how I see him as a player. If he is a striker, which I believe he isn't, but he likes to press. But he can't play solo. He can't play with his back to the goal. He has that inability. So he needs someone that can do that, which Kudus was doing in that Super Cup, and he was playing off him, and that's why it was working, in my opinion. But he just can't do it solo, and some people can't. And we're not playing to the strengths that he does have, which sometimes is in the air. It gets it, 50-50. But he definitely needs someone that's with him. But
this is his opportunity, Gaz. This is his opportunity, right?
Just can't do it. It's just not. I know it's just not good enough. And we should be for 60 million, Rick. Even you knew this. We should be buying people that can play multiple systems, and not just I can't play without being on my own or being with someone or out wide. I mean, you're out wide. You're kind of moved out of the limelight of it, because as I was saying, we're focus should be down that central area to hold the ball up. But now what we're doing is we're going, actually, Mo Kudus can take it on his chest and hold it, which he did a number of times today. But Richarlison's thinking, if I'm out there, I'm not going to get it out there. I need to do that, and I can press. It's just not a centre forward, and it's very frustrating. We spent all this money, and it's just not working. The quicker we can get Kolo Muani up to speed or Solanke back, that opens up so much for us moving forward creatively and easing pressure. I talk about that bit so much. We've got that ease pressure. It just doesn't help. He makes more pressure.
Gary, on that point, sorry, Craig, for me,
go on.
if you let's just say we played a front three of Muani on the left, Solanke in the middle, and Kudus down the right, you've suddenly changed the dynamic, because all three of those players can keep the ball. Yeah. They're all specimens who can keep the ball, and therefore, you're taking the pressure off your defence.
in an ideal world for me, it would, and I've Colomani played sometimes out on the left. I wouldn't mind Colomani on the left. You've got Kudus on the right. You've got Xavi Simons, and then you've got Solanke. That is unbelievable. And then you can have your double pivot for every game. I couldn't give a shit about your double pivot from there on. But that creatively front four. But we're close. We are close.
I would like to see two up front in some games again. You know, I'd like to see both Kalawani and Solanke, for example.
That's why I thought it was 3-5-2 today when I saw the formation. Yeah. I thought, hang on, we're going PSG 3-5-2 here. And
it's just
for me, I thought Kudus and Richarlison, I thought that worked. And obviously it didn't happen tonight, but
No, it sadly didn't. But it's interesting, although our game was 0-0, that was the highest scoring match week ever in the UEFA Champions League with 71 goals in 18 games, which is phenomenal, really. Gary, just stay with you. Porro fired over on 32 minutes, 36 minutes. Bergvall lost the ball in the middle of the park, dwelling on it. Balogun forces Vicario into an unbelievable save. What did you make of Bergvall's performance tonight? Did he do anything? Because a lot of us were actually, me included, were calling for him to come on Sunday against Villa. And tonight, did he take his opportunity for you?
No, but I don't think anybody really did in that middle. I think they were overloaded. You had Ansu Fati and Akrilush more of a 2 10s. They played at like 2 10s.
Yeah.
And I think that they were playing in the pocket so much that it was causing too much distraction to the three. And I don't think that they really settled down any of our midfield three. And I think Bergvall just looked a little bit lost. He's not a number 10, and I think he's being pushed into a position he kind of doesn't work for him. He's more of a box-to-box player. Currently, I think Sarri is our best box-to-box player, in my opinion. I really do like Bergvall, but I didn't think he had the greatest of games today. But I think it didn't help that he was constantly having to look at two people behind him, whereas traditionally he probably didn't need to.
Yeah. Well, Vicario said to the to Spurs play, talking to the club, he's just said, among other things, our standards and basic level have to be higher. I would totally agree with that, to be honest with you. It's just not good enough. Ricky, I see a lot of people, a fair few people I've seen on X tonight, and I know that's no judge of anything good half the time, X, but a lot of these people are actually calling for Frank's head and saying he needs to go. Where are you on Thomas Frank?
I mean, I don't know if he needs to go. Look, Craig, how long we've been doing this podcast? How many managers have we gone through? How many systems have we gone through? How many times have we said that this might not be the right manager for us, but all right, cool, we're going to back it, and then we're going to understand it, and then they need to find their feet and have a preseason and get their players in. How many times we've gone through this? We've got to figure out who we want to be and where we want to go. We brought in Thomas Frank because supposedly he's a man with 18 different plans, depending on what opposition you're going up against. A ton of the fan base asked for that for last season and the season before under Ange. You know, he's defensively solid and works a great structure. Another thing that the fan base has been asking for the last 2 years under Ange, regardless of the trophy, you know, they're still going at it. There were still some of our fans that were gleeful at him being sacked at Nottingham Forest, you know. So you ask for all of these things. We get a manager in that supposedly can do that, and you've got to back him, and you've got to allow him time to kind of grow and figure it out, and then we can figure it out ourselves. But you've got to give him a bit of a go. I don't know whether calling for his head is the right move right now. It's a step up from Brentford. You know, there's more games. He's used to a game a week, unless it's a Carabao Cup game. Do you know? So it's a step up in quality. It's a step up in expectation. It's something that he wants to do. But what we need to see is the changes on the field. You know, when things ain't going right tonight, why are the subs taking so long to come on? You know, maybe a half-time sub to make an impact, or you give it 5 minutes with the lineup that started the first half, but you you've got your plans in motion, which supposedly he has. He's got all these subs worked out already, for depending on which eventuality turns up. But it doesn't seem to be that way. It seems panicked at times. And, I think we started the season well enough to see a massive difference, that once we could see that defensive solidity and Romero and Van der Ven, starting games, the cat's come to say hello, starting games. And he is on one tonight. He is on one. He's going to get this wire. Listen, I'm going to go flying. I'm going to claim injury lawyers for you if he attacks me, okay? I'm telling you lot now, and you lot are liable to come in as witnesses. But yeah, so he's supposed to have the, different eventualities lined up, okay? And all the subs lined up depending on what's going on. We need to start seeing that, and the boys need to start implementing it. For me, the worry tonight was more so kind of the unity of it. Like we saw the structure, we saw a defensive unit, we saw the unity, we saw so many different flashes of brilliance in the first couple of games of this season. And, even against Villa, for me, I felt that we had them on the ropes for the majority of the time, but there were just two world-class goals from out of nowhere, and the ball went in the only spot that it could go to be a goal, and it was one of those. But and the problem on Saturday against Villa for me was the front line clicking. We created the chances, we had the shots, but they were scuffed, or they were rushed, or they were panicked, or they were snatched at. So it's not like all is lost on the Thomas Frank train. There are flashes of brilliance in there. There are flashes of green shoots in there. And if the quality, because we do have a quality squad, if you can get the quality of that squad and eke it out and improve it and lift it a couple of levels, as well as being a coach that coaches players, that looks to improve players, as we've seen in Mbeumo and Wissa and Tony and whoever else, that he had at Brentford. We've seen the evidence of him being able to do this. Again, a lot of the fan base was asking for a coach that goes in there and coaches. We've got one of those, but you've got to allow him the moment, the chance to try and create those moments and to learn from them and to put it right next game. He's got a toolbox. He's pulling out the wrong tools for the wrong job right now. He needs to figure that out and figure it out quickly. I have faith that he will, but we've got to be on this Thomas Frank train for a little bit. Let's not be as reactive as other fan bases and other sides that are always kind of just calling for the manager's head. There's a lot going on. Not only were those goals taken out, Craig, that you're saying about Kulu, Maddison, Sonny, and Solanke, but Johnson ain't starting any games, right? And he was our top goal scorer last year. So there's those, what was it, 22, 23 goals he scored last year? There's those 23 goals that have gone out of the team as well right now. So we need to start figuring it out. We need to start giving Frank the time to learn the lessons that are being presented and figure out the ones that he can rely on in which spaces and which times. But we need to start seeing it from you, Frank, as well. Tonight's performance, yes, we came away with a point, but tonight's performance is the most worrying thing for me because it was a Champions League game. If you're not going to show up for a Champions League game, when are you going to show up? Where was that performance against PSG tonight? The energy, the want, the desire, the guile, the aggression. Where was that tonight in the Champions League?
Yeah.
That was what's worrying for me from Frank.
That's exactly where I'm at with it. The performances of late just haven't been there. Is the results. If you're just going to look at results, you could look at results and think, it's not too bad. It's the performances. I think we're going to get found out. So I think we've been lucky on occasion. And obviously we didn't get lucky on Sunday against Villa. I could go through every match incident in the second half. I mean, do I really need to tell you how it went? I'm sure you'll see, Odebear cut in a deflective shot over. That was about it. Sarr and Simons came on for Bentancur and Bergvall on the hour mark. Vicario made another save on 68. Odebear and Richarlison then went off for Kolomoani and Johnson. Xavi waited too long on 73 minutes to put Moani in, if you remember that one, Si.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about Xavi Simons a bit. Do you remember that where he got past the ball, I think, by Kudus, dwelled on it, Kolomoani was storming down the outside, turned backwards. What is it with Xavi Simons? Is it just simply a lack of confidence, do you think, at the moment with him?
I think it's three things probably. First of all, it is lack of confidence. Second, for me, is that he is in a new team, a new style of playing, a new group of players. Very rarely do you find that players hit the ground running. And if you look at the players that we've signed, not just this season, but seasons before, the two best players for me this season have been Polinia and Mo Kudus. And what have those both got in common? Well, they're both Premier League proven. They've got the experience of playing in that league, so they could hit the ground running. This lad is coming from Germany, and outside of Bayern Munich and other, it's not the same level of football, in my opinion. And if you look at the other players that have come into the league this season, is Ekatike tearing it up? You pick a player from probably every club that's in the Premier League and say, are they tearing it up when they first get there? No, because they've got to learn the patterns of play. And one thing I don't think, this is just for me, where Thomas Frank, I don't think he's helping him. If he's a number 10, you play him as a number 10 time and time and time again, so that he plays in that position and he learns the patterns and the runs and the foibles of the players around him. But it's a bit like Archie Gray or Jed Spence, in my opinion. What is their position? Well, once you've decided their position, just play a minute, because I know we talk about flexibility in players, but players like Simons, who's come in, like I said, to a new team and a new style of football, you're doing him no favours at all by keep asking him to do different things. Just keep it simple for him. You're going to play as a number 10. This is what I want you to do, and this is how I want you to do it. Gary was saying in the stadium, he was standing there on his own, screaming for the ball in the number 10 position. Well, hopefully Thomas Frank would look at that and say, look, boys, you've got to find him when he's in these pockets. But you can't keep moving players like him around and asking him to settle in a new league, new surroundings, new teammates, new club, and expect the best of him. And like I said, I can't think of any other player that's come from outside the Premier League this season that's settled into a team where I've gone, wow, he's hit the ground running. Maybe there's a couple at Bournemouth, possibly, but the defenders that have come in have done well. But forward players and creative players, I don't think any of them hit the ground running. So I do think it's those three things for me. It's confidence, it's the consistency of position for him, and it's him. He's going to take time to learn the runs his teammates make, where he needs to be in the team, and how he fits in there. I think it's an amalgamation of the three for me, mate.
Well, Vicario, not surprisingly, was given the man of the match trophy tonight. So at least we won something good came out of it. Gary, coming around to you, Vicario with another outstanding save on 75 minutes. 79 minutes, Kudos went off for Jed Spence. 88 minutes, Akliush fired wide. 89 minutes, Johnson had a shot blocked after good work from Kolomoani. Would have been a bit of a travesty, I'm sure, for Monaco had we nicked that, but that's football sometimes. Gary, what did you make of Kolomoani? I didn't think he looked that bad. He looked quite hungry. He's quite fast, isn't he? I think he's probably, for me, if he's fit enough, I personally think we should start him at Everton on Sunday.
Yeah, I think he probably will, actually. I think he looked at the pace. He didn't look like he could have done the full game. And clearly, they've considered that, but he looked up for it. As soon as he came in, he was making runs. He held the ball up a couple of times, a couple of good flick-ons, created something towards the end, like you just said. So he in that, 15, 20 minutes, he created more than anybody else did for us. He looked dangerous, physical player, got pace about him as well. So, yeah, if he's fit, he's got to play. He's outstanding. It's just so typical that he hasn't been injured in like 2 years, and then he comes to us and is out for 3 or 4 games. And you don't go to Juventus and score, a goal every other game, and Juventus do everything in their power to sign you this summer and be an average player. I think we just got unlucky with a dead leg. I think he just wasn't fit because he hadn't played over the summer. I don't think he was fit. I think he came in probably not right, and they've worked on some fitness with him and said it's a dead leg. Or he might have picked a knock, but I think it's a fitness concern because tonight he looked different to what he did on Saturday, and I think that's starting to come. But he could definitely open so much for us. And he also has the versatility to play him left or right. But we're crying out for someone up front, and I think he can answer a lot of questions for us. I
think that's the ultimate thing for me. A lot of us have said it in our chat group. We need a centre forward that puts the ball in the back of the net. Yes, you need the service, but Kalumani is one of those players. Seems to be he can make something happen. Looks like he's looking for the ball. He will run in behind. He's got a bit of pace about him. So I'll be very, very pleased to see him start the game and actually get a decent run, 60 minutes or so. If he's got 60 minutes in the tank against Everton, for me, I think he has to start. Well, that was the first 0-0, as I said, in over 2 years for Tottenham. Which is surprising, although probably not surprising under Ange, because that was a bit of a roller coaster those 2 years, in a good way, because of course we are Europa League champions. Rick, just before we come on to discuss the Everton game, Pat Matar came on 60 minutes. Why do you think Sarr isn't getting a run out at the moment? What do you think the thinking is by Thomas Frank about Pat Matar?
I really don't know, Craig. I really don't know right now, unless the niggle that he picked up on international duty is affecting him more than everybody's letting on. I really don't know. Like I said earlier, he has been one of those. Well, once he got those 3-4 games under his belt, he was, for me, one of the first undroppables alongside Paulinho, because I just thought he was everywhere and he was adding goals to his game, and he was the one that was driving that midfield as well as the team forward at times. So it confuses me, mate. So the only thing that I can think of is that there's some type of niggle injury, and they're either being careful with it, being very cautious with it, because if it goes, it could be out for a couple of months or something like that, and we don't need that, do we? So maybe they're just being overly cautious with him, but he's been a standout player, and in the Champions League, you need your standout players. So I just hope that against Everton, he gets a start and he can start to build up and start to get up to speed of where he was before the international break, and start affecting the game again. But one thing that I did notice, Craig, in extra time, I know we're moving on to Everton, but in extra time, I think, what did we get? 6 minutes. So I think there was a throw in about 5 minutes. And at one point, nobody wanted to run to the ball to get the throw on going. Not even Danzo for a long throw. Not only that, I think it was Spence who went and then eventually jogged over, I might add, picked up the ball. Not one player ran towards him to give him an option. Every single option was over a Monaco defender's head to try and get it to the player. And you're like, this is the last minute. This is the last moment. It was the time that we started to have some of the game, partly because I think that Monaco were probably tired now. They punched themselves out a little bit, and it could have been a bit of a smash and grab. But there was no urgency there. And it's those things that I see, those little details where I go, oh, what's happening here? Like, what is last minute of a Champions League game, You got to be all at it, and especially when you haven't had the ball for 3 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So it was just something that I noticed, and that's a worrying thing. I hope that the boys see it. I hope that the coaching staff see it, and I hope that it's mentioned and addressed, not to dig anybody out, but to take accountability and to see it, and so that it doesn't happen again. Once you see it, you've got to, you've got to accept it, and then go, okay, cool, I'm going to do something about it, and that's what we need to see happening as well, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, well, it's Everton up next at the weekend. Games coming thick and fast, as we know. Everton up on Sunday, 4:30 p.m. kickoff, live on Sky in the UK. And as we travel to the new home of Everton, the Hill Dickinson Stadium. So far, Everton have played 8, won 3, drawn 2, lost 3, on 11 points, and they sit 12th in the Premier League. 9 goals scored in those 8 games, 9 goals conceded, 2 clean sheets. Here's an interesting stat for you. They are yet to lose at home, winning 2 and drawing 2. So, Si, what sort of lineup would you like to see at Everton? So there's the last 2 questions for you. What sort of lineup do you want to see at Everton? Give us a team selection if you can, and give me a score prediction as well.
Well, the lineup I'd like to see is I want to see. It depends who's available. I'm assuming a doggy's not going to be available. So if he's not available, Vic in goal, Porro, Danso, Van der Ven, and Spence at the back for me. I would like to see the midfield of Sarr and Polinia, and then I want to see the 3 in front of that of Kudus, Xavi, and Odobert, and I want to see Kolo Muani at the top of the spear for me on Sunday. And I would be happy with a draw, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 up there, because I just don't think it's an easy place to go. If you offer me, I can take a draw before starting. I'm afraid I'll take it on this one. Keep the good away form going, and hopefully, just for me, all I want to see is a committed performance, a performance with some drive and energy, and I just want to see us trying to play some football, and not just have, like I started this stream off saying, with the ball looking like a pinball machine whenever we're trying to do something with it. So yeah, I'll go. Let's have a 1-1 draw, and the lineup that I said, please. That would be lovely.
Okay, Gary, what sort of lineup do you want to see? And if you dare, give me a score prediction.
I'll try. Vicario, Porro, Danso, Van der Ven, Spence, double pivot of Sarr and Polinia on the right, Kudus, Xavi Simons down the middle, Matty's Tell on the left, and Kolo Muani up front. I think that
you go for Tell. You'd put 10 in, would you? Yeah.
I think he probably will, given that he played relatively well against Leeds, I felt, and he seems to come in after a Champions League game or a cup game. He seems to slot in. It's kind of what he's done on the last couple. So I think he'll play. I don't think, if he does play, may play in the centre forward, but I want to see Kolo Muani. So it's my choice. I think we might nick a win. I'm going to go 2-1. I really like Everton as a team anyway. They've got a great player out on the left that I wish was playing for us. So that's my concern. But I think if we've got Spence out there as well, I think that's going to be a lovely lineup, a lovely battle between them. So I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to try and be as positive as I can. But I'm a bit like Si. If someone said you can take a draw, guaranteed, I probably would go with it. I think it's going to be a tough place, but yeah, hopefully a 2-1 victory.
Well, I'm going to agree with Si on this. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I think it's going to be a draw. It'll be 1-1 or 2-2. Ricky, what sort of lineup do you think? Well, give me one you think Frank's going to go with, and give me one that you would go with if you want, and give me a score prediction.
No, I tell you what, because we've had two different lineups between Sai and Gaz. So I was thinking, you know what, I'll choose between their lineups, and I'm gonna go. I was with Sai, you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, that's my team, and then until I heard Gaz's, and I was like, no, that makes total sense, mate, because we haven't seen Tell on the left yet either. So also Odebear's got that rib thing, so we don't know what's gonna come of that. So to chuck Tell out on the left-hand side, I think would be great, and Cullen Mawani up front. But the one caveat that I would give is, look, we've started to see that Kudus is getting double-teamed and triple-teamed. He's a guy that can play across the front three. Don't be afraid to switch it up. Go into the 10. Push Xavi out to the left. Let Odebear or Tell go to the right. They interchange all the time. So if there is getting doubled and tripled up on, like... Firstly, find the spare man, because if there's three guys on you, then there's space somewhere. So find that guy. But if not, start switching it up. You know, Kudus in the 10 could be dynamite because just of his strength, aggressiveness, improvisation, and being able to just bamboozle defenders. So he's played there for Ajax. He, had a prolific run there for Ajax at times. So it can happen. So I'd go with Gaz's lineup, but I would say don't feel that you can't switch it up. Please switch it up if the initial lineup ain't working. Don't be afraid to change positions and confuse them a little bit. Create some chaos. And the scoreline I will go with, because I'm expecting a reaction, and that's what I want. I want a reaction. From losing in the Premier League. Yes, we should have got more out of that game, but losing in the Premier League and then having a terrible performance tonight in the Champions League, getting away with it with a 1-1 draw. Let's prove to everybody, and including ourselves, that we're better than that, and that was a blip, and that's going to be learned. There's going to be lessons to learn from tonight. So I want I'm going to go for a 3-1 win, my friend. But the one that's going to score is probably going to be Grealish. But yeah, I'm going to go 3-1, man. Colo to score one, create one. Xavi to score as well. And then maybe Kudus.
Right, I'll take that. I would take that, definitely. I think it's important. Look, we've got to try and get a result up there because... we can't lose touch with the top four. We had obviously the opportunity to go second, didn't we, last week? But didn't walk through. The door was open and we didn't walk through it. And we've been there and done that so many times as Tottenham. I think it's just I just feel the frustration even more when we seem to do that. But thanks very much, you three, for sitting there and talking about I wouldn't say, well, it's not as bad as a loss, is it? It's kind of feels like a loss, even though it wasn't. It was just the performance, I think, has peed a lot of us off. But we do it again on Sunday against Everton. Sai, thanks so much for joining us this evening. Where can people find you if they want to follow you?
You can find me on the X Sphere with my handle on the screen there, where I'm always spouting about something or other. Bless you, thank you. And I just say thanks to everybody who watches the channel, because I know it means a lot to all of us that people support us and come along and listen to what we've got to say. So that's fantastic. And also, I love being on with the other two as well, because I find them totally engaging. And Ricky always lifts me up. Always lifts me up. A 3-1 win. He's the boy for me. And thanks for hosting, Craig. It's always a pleasure to be on, and I'll see you all soon.
Thank you very much, Si. And Gary, thanks so much for joining us again. Where can people find you?
Yeah, just Twitter, TikTok, just chatting about Tottenham as much as possible and other football. But I appreciate you having me on and continue have my daily videos, and great to be back with my mate Si, and good to see Ricky and obviously you as well, Craig, and to everybody watching. That it's late, so I do appreciate you all staying with us. And there's obviously we get, I don't know if people are aware, but we get like this side of this app. We see all your comments as well. So there's just hundreds of them. So do really appreciate all that as well.
Yeah. There's been literally hundreds hundreds of comments going through tonight. So thank you all for staying with us. Anybody who's in the UK or Europe watching is, well, it's only 20 past 11. We've done later than this, believe me. Ricky's been with me on some of them. Ricky, a bit of an earlier one tonight, which is good. Where can people find you? What you're up to? And are you back with us on Sunday for Everton?
Yeah, I'll be back with you guys on Sunday after Everton. Absolutely, because I've missed you. Yeah, I was out filming some YouTube content today, which was very eventful. I'll let you know a bit more when I can. It was very eventful, let me tell you. Funny though, funny. I'm keeping busy, brother. I'm keeping busy. Obviously, I'll be back on with yourself after Everton, and you know, I know it's been crazy, and I know I've been a bit of a grump tonight, but that was the performance that it was a performance that really kind of gnawed at me, especially when we're in the Champions League. So I'm sure I'll be a bit more upright and positive on Sunday after a big 3-1 win. But yeah, man, I'm just keeping busy. From me and the cat. The cat's actually calmed down now. You know, he's stopped running about like a lunatic and getting me up and down all night long. I'm telling you, he's been on one because I've been out all day. He's just on one, been moaning at me. So from me and the cat right now, Blue. Yeah, we're sending you big love and thank you to everybody, not only in the UK but around the world that love, support, comment, share, and interact with us, man. We're just 4 fans that like to have a rant about Tottenham and love our team inside backwards. It's just an opinion. We're not no experts or pundits. You know, we're just sharing what we're feeling at the time, and it's a pleasure to share it with all of you guys around the world, man. Well done, Craigie, as well.
Absolutely, thank you very much. For hosting. Yeah. Well, look, I echo your comments. Let's really hope that we get to be talking about a win on Sunday. Please, I can't do any more of these where we haven't won.
Come on!
Oh my God! Right. Get back to Premier League action on Sunday, as I say, at Everton. Let's be the first team. Let's be the first team to do a first at Everton and win at their new stadium. That would be a lovely way to end the weekend, wouldn't it? And let's hope their teams around us slip up a little bit as well. That's all from us tonight. As I say, we'll see you again Sunday. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.